I want to come back to this bike because it is on sale, $332 at the current pricing. This is the Schwinn Axum Comp X, a bike that comes factory equipped with a dropper post. Easy cable routing on this bike for upgrades, so let's talk about those upgrades. First and foremost, the one thing that you really need if you're going to buy this bike and try to ride it out on the trail, you're going to need better pedals. And I have equipped this bike with budget mountain bike pedals. So budget, these are at Chester's, though they look like race-face Chester's. They're not Fookers, though they look like Fookers. And I have actually forgotten, there's the logo. I've forgotten the brand on these, but I know I bought these dirt cheap. These are decent pedals. I mean, just look how well they spin freely out of the box. I've had 2 sets of these. These are the second set. I've had them in storage. Bought them back when they're on sale. That's when you shop for things. And that's what's so important with bikes like this Axum Comp X. You can buy it and ride it as is and upgrade as you can afford to. And that's the goal, right? To ride on the trail for as cheap as possible. And then as money comes available, add parts. Little bits of parts that don't cost much that make the ride so much better. And there are, of course, the Ozark trail pedals for $15 at Walmart that are now a good option when you're picking up a bike from the rack at Walmart. Just walk by, add $15 and pick up pedals. But in my case, I went with these, and if you shop savvy enough, you can get pedals like this down in that $12 to $15 range. You can always find stuff like this in the $17 to $18 range. But other than that, there's nothing on this drivetrain that is immediately in need of replacement. So none of that needs to be replaced. This entire drivetrain just needed pedals to set it off, and some good, nice pedals for a budget price will make the difference. Anything with pegs, really, where you can get some grip, pegs and good bearings so that they don't wear out, because the factory pedals have a plastic shaft that will wear out. Not only will your foot slip around on it out on the trail, but they'll wear out really quick like. But there's another upgrade that I've added. I've put this easy cable routing to work, and I upgraded the brakes on this bike. Really, the second thing that I feel needs to be upgraded out of the box for good fun trail riding, that's the brakes. You can see I went with Meroca. Now, I'm not gonna lie, every time I look at this, I think Meroca. But Meroca brakes, this is the second set of these that I've had, much like these pedals. These brakes, the second set of these that I've had. The first set, I actually sold those to someone local. They put them on the bike, and the reason I got another set is because theirs have worked so well, given how little they cost. And these aren't the cheapest. You can pick up a set of MT200s for probably cheaper, but the reason I'm focusing on these today, because they've held up so well and they brake so well. Doesn't relay on camera, but the feel of these, smooth. And there's a reason for that. If we go down here, you can look there. This M4 logoing, which looks almost like M.4, does it not? Maybe in a few years when Ozark Trail is up to the M.4, these would be a go-to brake for that bike. But for now, know one thing, these are 4-piston. That's what distinguishes these, especially at the price, from other budget brakes, and it's the 4-piston that makes them so smooth to operate. I just easily squeeze on this. I'm telling you, that's one thing about hydraulic disc brakes. If you've ever ran mechanical disc brakes and you switch to hydraulics, you're going to notice that they're easier to engage the power. Less finger fatigue and more bite for just a little bit of squeeze. Well, these 4-piston Meroca, I mean, this is just so smooth. But also, on brakes, hydraulic disc brakes, typically the more expensive they get, the easier that pull is, and the stronger the engagement with just a little bit of pull. And that's exactly what these are doing. These come pre-filled. You don't have to do any bleeding, any draining. You just hook them up. I'm going to try to edit in just a little bit of footage for you. I mean, it's hard to relay how well or how not well a brake works. You're just gonna have to take my word. These, in my opinion, well above their price and performance. A good working brake. You know, a decent looking brake. This is, well, you know, like everything that you get that's budget, kind of a play on others' designs. But look at this, even the easy mount, just unbolt this, swing it open, and bolt these right to the bars. Stuff like that you don't usually get on the cheap stuff. And I don't know that $74 is cheap, but I think I've seen these. I think the first time I bought them, they were down to around $59, something like that. But these have surprised me when I've seen how well they have worked on another bike that I decided I'm giving them another go myself. And when I started thinking about which bike to put them on, it was the Axum Comp X that I decided this is the bike for these brakes. Also important is that you can see how these are mounted. They come with the bracket for the other mount type, and the installation on this Comp X, this Axum Comp X, I mean, look at this. I just route this right up to the handlebars. Even easier on this side. I mean, this literally goes down right to the fork and right to where they bolt on. This is what I've been talking about with these bikes with the external routing. As much as I love internal, and you know, this does have a little hybrid here, a little bit internal, this is just for the shifting, and because of the derailleur that this comes with, and the shifter this comes with, you don't really need to worry with that. But brakes, easy upgrade here because it's self-routed, or externally routed, self-routed. Just bolt it up, it routes itself. No, externally routed. And I do want to say, some people have complained about this bike, just a cosmetic complaint, no performance complaint, about the way these are routed, not so much with the external, but because, well, you can see there, it just kind of overlaps itself. And that's because these mounts have a dual mount and only one zip tie that holds them in place. So where this tension here starts coming out, it makes it want to overlap and twist this one, push against this one. But there's a reason for that. It's not this design. This would be as smooth up here as it is down here. Nice straight line. If it weren't for this, for some reason, Schwinn included a super long, well, actually, I think I know the reason. This is for the dropper post. This runs up to here to this. And I think they wanted to give enough length so that installing the dropper, because you have to hook this up. Actually, wait a minute, I'm not even sure on this bike I had to hook this up. This might have been pre-installed on this bike and just down, but usually you have to hook them up. And I think that's why they gave extra cable so you can have some slack to really pull it up, where normally I would trim this down, and I probably will eventually. But for right now, just gonna have to deal. I know some people aren't gonna like this. We're gonna have to deal with the swing out. What I'm getting at though, is this weirdness here is because of this. If this were in, that's gonna clean up. And that's why this needs to be actually shortened. Doesn't have to be though. It will still work just fine. As it is, just look a little gangly right there. So here we are, a bike that's $332 off the rack or out of the box for at least one specific model size. And I've added very affordable pedals under 20 bucks. I've added some hydraulic disc brakes that were easy to route thanks to the design, and hydraulic disc brakes that work so well. They're 4-piston and they're under $75. And I've turned this bike into a pleasure to ride. It's already a decent bike, but now it's really decent with the exception of the fork. Probably the last thing that I would upgrade, but it's also the most expensive. Because look, you can get hydraulic disc brakes under $79 all day. You can get them down to $59, $50 if you shop well enough. $40, $49. But be careful, because not all hydraulic disc brakes, just because they're hydraulic, doesn't mean they're going to be great. I have bought some before that were super cheap, and I thought mechanical discs that they were replacing were better. But these, in my opinion, are really good brakes. I'll put a link to them down in the description. Note my links are affiliate links, but I'm just giving you my opinions here based on performance that these are a worthy upgrade. But this bike, again, you don't really have to upgrade much other than the pedals. But if you're going to start doing actual trail riding, you know, you're probably going to want a little better. And an easy path to get there is pedals and then hydraulic, at least on this bike, hydraulic disc brakes. And then the fork, because that's the low-hanging fruit budget-wise. The pedals are going to be the cheapest. The hydraulic brakes are going to be the second because we don't need a dropper. It comes with one. Don't need wider bars. It comes with them. These are alloy bars. They're not super heavy. All in all, the heavy thing on this bike is the fork. Now, we'll say these Meroca brakes, probably the one thing that shows budget on them, these weighed 1.5 grams more than the factory mechanical disc brakes. But the performance is well worth the 1.5 grams. Probably those extra pistons weighing just a little bit more. I'll let you argue whether 4 pistons are good, but in my opinion, these are worth the money. And that's the low-hanging fruit: pedals, brakes, and then next, the fork. Because realistically, you're not going to get a fork. You could go with another coil fork that weighs a lot, but usually when you're upgrading, you want to shed weight too and get performance, and a lot of people go with the budget air fork. That's it for today's video. Links down in the description. What do you think about these Meroca brakes? What about those pedals? Well, at this point, I think everybody has a favorite pedal, but if you don't, there's links down in the description. What do you think about those Meroca brakes? What do you think about this Comp X? $332. I'll link to that as well down in the description. Actually, YouTube, I might even have a link right below the video. Thanks to YouTube. Again, dropper equipped. Yeah, I always enjoy showing this off. With the dropper, you get to do this. Up and down. Come to something, you need more room to maneuver on your trail, you just press this button, the seat lowers. When you get to a flat spot, back to easy riding, just press that lever again, it pops right back up. Schwinn with Meroca and with budget pedals, making the Axum Comp X even better, even more trail capable. Comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.